Good afternoon, I'm Brent Wilsey, and yes, it must be Friday because we're talking about the smart investing briefing, easy to say. Well, some big news came out today that kind of rocked the markets a little bit. We had Trump threatened to use an additional $276 billion in tariffs in China. That kind of unloads the whole gun.
Oh, absolutely. As you said, unloads the whole gun. That'd be everything on what China imports to us. And that'd be, again, on top of the $200 billion that's proposed right now. That's in the works right now. They're looking at kind of finalizing that over, I think, the next couple of weeks. Trump said that's very close. And we currently have about $50 billion worth on tariffs that are actually in place right now.
Right. So this would cover all goods from China. It's, the unloading the gun. We're going to see what happens with this, and that's where the market kind of moved today. But we've talked about before, this is the time to be doing this because our economy, we're going to talk more about our economy, it is so strong compared to China. And you can tell, China's market, their stock market's down nearly 20%.
Yeah, and our stock market, it's up. Right now is the time coming from strength. You don't want to fight somebody when, you haven't worked out in a year and a half and they've worked out every day over the last, 5 years. Not in a good place.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We're coming from strength. That's where you want to come. Already talked about this a little bit, but look here. I have some facts for you. China, they export to us about $505 billion. We only export about $130 billion worth of goods to them. The other thing to consider, again, I mentioned that $50 billion worth of goods that we're tariffing. They're also tariffing $50 billion worth of our goods. Not really a fair comparison when you look at it in terms of percentage, since they export 505, we only export 130 billion worth of goods.
And to say why we're safe, look at our economy. We had employment numbers come out today, and they continue to be strong. We created, 201,000 jobs. The estimate was, 195,000 jobs. Our economy growing very, very well.
Absolutely. And the big thing that I keep hearing from people, this economy is not that great. The big problem, wages aren't growing. I don't know where these people are getting this from. I don't know if it's just kind of personal beliefs. My friend, that happened to them. If we look on the grand scheme of things, wage inflation was at its best level ever for this economic recovery. I believe the last time we had this type of wage inflation was April 2009. Very strong number.
And I know you got some other numbers you want to bring out, but I do want to talk about that's the average. I mean, some are going to do above the average, some of the average. There's going to be some that, they're just not doing as good as the average. But you got to look at the average overall across the country.
Yeah, and that number was up 2.9% year over year. But if you look at, this is a great number. You look at after tax, after benefits, after bonuses, big one here, after inflation, that number kind of a real good proximity for real wages, up about 1.4% year over year. Again, that's phenomenal when you factor in inflation. Another thing that was very interesting, very exciting, was if you take the average work week hours, multiply it by the average hourly earnings, that was up 5% year over year. I mean, these numbers are just phenomenal. If you know who Larry Kudlow is, he was just couldn't be contained this morning on how excited he was.
14 minutes, how great it was. So it is great information out there. For more great information, tune in tomorrow morning on AM 760 KFMB, the Smart Investing Show at 8 o'clock. We'll talk more then. Have a great weekend.